Hey guys, just before we start this video, I just wanted to quickly remind you to join our AFL Fantasy comp, and the code is on my left hand side right now if you want to join. This is an open league, so this is unlimited spots, and the winner of our fantasy competition will win a secret prize. Now the reason why it's a secret is because me and my brother haven't decided what the prize is going to be yet, but make sure to join in the fun. But for now, let's get into the video. About a bit of AFL Fantasy. So I thought both of us coming to February now would take a look at our teams. So I'll go through my team first and we'll go through yours. I made a few changes since we last looked at it early in January. Pretty similar, but there are a few changes. So first of all, in my defense, I've got Harry Sheezel, Max Holmes, Colby McKercher, Cal Mills, Travalia, and Bo Allen. In the midfield, I've got Zach Merritt, Jack Steele, Connor Rosie, Will Ashcroft, Isaac Cumming, Sid Draper, Levi Ashcroft, and Josh Smiley. In the ruck, I've got Tim English and Tom de Koning. Sorry guys, just quickly editing this video, and I realised this was done just before the injury was announced to Mattaes Filippo. He is out 3 or 4 months or so he'll be back probably mid-year. So I have made a change and picked Riley Sanders, and so has my brother, over Mattaes Filippo at this stage. But that's pretty much all the changes we've made for our team in the last day or so. So we're going to get back into the video now. In the forward line, I've got Jason Horne-Francis, Jack Macrae, Mattaes Filippo, Bailey Smith, Caleb Daniel, and Elijah Hewitt. On the bench, I've got El Harley and Smith. In the midfield is Jagger Smith and Leo Lombard. In the ruck, I've got Archer Reed. Forward line, I've got Daniel Curtin and Caden Cleary. And onto the utility, I have got Max Hall for the Saints. A couple of changes, but overall, it's a pretty similar team. What have you been looking at on your team this year?
Defense, I've got Lockie Whitfield, Max Holmes, Trent Rivers, Colby McKercher. I've got Kadeem Coleman at the moment, but that probably will change. And Bo Allen. Midfield is Zach Merritt, Rosie, Will Ashcroft, Clayton Oliver, Pete Ling, Draper, Nathan O'Driscoll, and Josh Smiley. Ruck is Darcy Cameron and Tom de Koning. And my forward line is Jason Horne-Francis, Isaac Rankin, Filippo, Bailey Smith, Caleb Daniel, and Elijah Hewitt. On the bench is El Harley and Gipkiss. Midfield is DiMatteo and Barrett. Ruck is Tom Campbell. Ethan Reed and Caden Cleary are in my forward line, and I've got Matt Whitlock as my utility at the moment.
A very similar team. I know my brother really likes to. I think he logs on my phone at night and just has a look at my team, just quickly, Oh, that's the guy I need to get. Yeah.
This is the person who I've beaten in the last 2 seasons.
I know, it's very embarrassing because you copy my team and then you make the better trades. Unfortunately, that's definitely how it works. Yeah. Anyway, so I've got a couple of differences. You've gone with a very expensive defense. I think 5 players over 500k. Is that about right?
Yes,
yeah.
Kadeem Coleman, yes.
Kadeem Coleman. You may change that one, though. So one of the big ones that I've made, obviously, is Coleman out. I've also made the change of Rankin out of the team. Now, that's a wait and see. But with that news about Jack Macrae having a lot more CBAs in the match simulations, I'm knocking on wood that he's going to be playing a lot more midfield this year for St Kilda. And we've seen the output of Jack Macrae when he plays midfield.
He can average 110 every week.
Yeah. Now, I mean, he's a little bit older now, but I don't think that's a real indicator that he's going to score low. I think that's sort of fine. I think he'll be okay. So that's why I've got Jack Macrae in the team. I did have for a little bit Nathan O'Driscoll in the team. I did swap that for, it was Leo Lombard at this stage. So give me a little bit more cash. I've been fiddling around with maybe Connor Rosie. I think I'm going to keep him there for now. Cal Mills was out of my team for a while. I had Colby McKercher in. But then when Coleman was announced that he's probably not going to be playing in opening round or the few first 3 rounds of the season, I've upgraded to Cal Mills, which is a big reason why I got rid of Isaac Rankin. Now on my bench, which is quite interesting. Now, Smith for the Richmond Tigers in defence. There's a lot of talk about this guy. He's a basement price. There's a lot of talk about him in the preseason. He's really been showing some good signs, maybe taking over the Dan Rioli role. So I think he's a bit of a watch for me. Obviously, it's a wait and see on the reserves. If they get selected in round 1 or opening round, you pick them. If they don't, then obviously you kick them out. But there's been a lot of good talk about him, so that's why I've got Smith in the defence. On the ruck in Archer Reed. Campbell has been there for me early on. I took him out. I'm thinking about Hugh Boyd for St Kilda, who's been drafted, who's been picked up there as an SSP player. But Archer Reed, we talked about him. I talked about him last week as a real good performer for the preseason for West Coast. And with Matt Flynn being injured again, I don't know if it's going to keep him out of round 1. But if it does, Archer Reed, basement price 230. I think he's a watch for me. He is also a ruck forward, so that does give a little bit of flexibility as a position player. Forwards haven't changed. Curtin and Cleary have stayed there basically the whole time. But my utility is Max Hall. One who's been performing quite well for St Kilda in the pre-season. Plays as a small forward for St Kilda in the pre-season as well. I think there's obviously a role there for a debutant. I think that's sort of a role that players can get an early debut. So I think Max Hall is there as an option for St Kilda. But really, not a lot of changes in my team. There's Isaac Cumming. I don't think I had him in the team originally. I think that was where I had Clayton Oliver, which again could be changed. I may pick Clayton Oliver up. There's been some decent talk about him in the preseason. We'll have to wait and see. I want to see his match simulation live, and I want to see the preseason game before I absolutely start trying to get him into the team. But if he is there, Clayton Oliver is a almost must pick, I think, because he is such great on output. But at this stage, that's my team. I've got 18k left in the bank, so not too bad. But what about you? There's a couple of changes that you've made. You've had Trent Rivers over McKercher.
Yeah.
I've been talking a bit about Trent Rivers because I think that there's a midfield role for him, especially with the information of Petrarca re-injuring his ribs. So what are the reasons for some of the players you've picked? Because there's a couple there that are different.
So people like James Peatling, people are picking either him or Isaac Cumming. I just think that the role of him probably going in the midfield is more appealing to me than what Isaac Cumming is. I think he could play off halfback. Isaac Cumming, he could play off a bit of the wing. It's a bit of an unknown for him. So I thought I've seen more of an output from James Peatling. Like you said, I'll have to watch match sims and all that to really see which one's more lighting it up.
The thing is as well with James Peatling is last year he played quite a lot as the sub. And when he wasn't sub, he scored quite a few. I think he scored 2 or 3 100 plus games.
Late in the season, he played really well.
Yeah, for the Giants. So and also played a bit of a role as a tagger. So maybe as a defensive forward at times. So maybe just getting his tank up, and then eventually, at the Crows, there is spots there for midfield minutes. So James Peatling could definitely knock them down.
I've got a few other players that are not base price on my bench.
Yeah.
So at the moment I've only got 6k left.
Yeah.
But with players like Kadeen Coleman, maybe not playing week 1.
I have heard some news as well, just quickly, that Travalia has been playing off the wing in match sim for St Kilda.
And we've seen in last couple of seasons that St Kilda lied to play some of their new players in the first couple rounds.
Yeah.
So that probably is a bit more appealing.
Yeah.
That I'll probably look for a player like a rookie plays round 1. In the defence and stuff like that. So I think the last few seasons you've had to load up on defence because kick-outs and all that are extra 3 points, and obviously the last couple of seasons since they changed that rule.
You basically just have to jump out the square and then you're fine.
That's why I've picked players like Whitfield, because I've avoided that for the last couple of years. It bit me late in the year because the teams I've played in finals have had him and I haven't.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you've got a pretty expensive defence, 5 players over the pace of 500, which is pretty high. You'd think, I mean, you don't really have that in many positions. Even forward line you do as well. But, when in defence in previous years, you probably wouldn't, top load on that. But defence is, almost the most important position now, I feel like. Because when you get, like you say, a lot of teams, attack from their defence, play off half-back, and then you got the kick-ins as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's going to be the most. I think if that's a tip I'm going to give away to anyone is don't be afraid to top load on your defence. If you've got players back there that you think are going to play well, don't be afraid to go, I've got enough money to get a player at 600k, but I probably should use that in another position. I would say go for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good idea. Maybe just keep an eye out on that, guys. Make sure to let us know down below how your teams are going. If you have any tips for us, if you agree with the tips that we've given you, make sure to let us know down below. And make sure to join the AFL Fantasy League as well. It is linked down below. We have about 35 of you guys in the league already, just into early February.